and welcome back to Surviving ISO. I'm Sacha King from 2.two.one Mental Health Charity, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about our nutrition and our mind-body connection and how our body is functioning can also impact our mental health. And I know that my office has moved quite close to my kitchen, and I've been thinking a little bit about some of these connections at this time. So we're really lucky to be joined by Paul Twomey today. He is an accredited practicing dietitian and works at Darwin Nutrition and Dietetics Clinic. So thanks for joining us today, Paul.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So could you just tell us a little bit about what you do as a dietitian and a bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Darwin, born and raised. I went down to Melbourne, did my studies initially in Melbourne. So I did a Bachelor of Food and Nutrition down there, and then that kind of followed on to my Masters of Dietetics. But came back to Darwin pretty quickly after I did my studies. Worked in private practice for a little bit. Did a bit of community nutrition, so now I run my own private practice. So Darwin Nutrition and Dietetics Clinic.
What are some of the ways that our nutrition can impact our mental health?
Yes, in a number of different ways, and it can be quite sort of complex, but it kind of works both ways really. So, how we feel can definitely impact our food choices. So we've probably all been in that situation where we've maybe been either a little bit sort of sad or maybe happy, and that sort of dictated what and why we've maybe eaten. But definitely on the other side of things of what we're eating, of the foods and the nutrients, but not only that, but our dietary behaviours. So how often we're eating, what we're eating, but then our relationship and views of food and our diet all sort of intertwine with each other. And we know that eating a healthy diet can impact how we feel. It can make us feel better about ourselves, have more positive feelings, can help our energy levels throughout the day. And nutrition is sort of becoming more important as a complementary method to manage things such as depression or anxiety. And all of this can have to do with our gut bacteria. So we know we've got an environment of bacteria in our gut, which kind of links directly with our brain. So we know that feeding this environment of bacteria with good nutritious foods can directly impact our how we feel, and conversely also, if we're not sort of eating the right sort of foods, that can have a negative impact as well.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Obviously gut health is a bit of a hot topic right now, but how that sort of impacts you holistically is so interesting. What about right now when people are feeling quite stressed and there's a lot of change going on? Is it particularly important at these times to be aware of these things?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I always advocate for it's always important to be thinking about your diet and nutrition, but certainly these sort of situations where maybe we're in isolation, which kind of throws us out a little bit of our normal routine. So if we've gone from maybe previously working and work kind of gives us structure, we maybe have our regular breakfast and then our set meal times sort of throughout the day. So maybe without that, it can kind of throw us off a little bit, and we're in a different environment that we're not really used to, or at least not used to being in 24/7, and maybe we have different distractions. So having maybe a kitchen or cupboard close by, and particularly maybe if we are a little bit more stressed or a little bit more emotional at the moment, that's going to further impact us and maybe lead on to emotional eating or comfort eating. And in the same time too, maybe we might be a little bit less active as well if we're a little bit more sedentary at home. Maybe we're on the couch, in front of the TV, or working from home. So maybe even taking that into account too in terms of what we're eating. But there's also positives as well too, and that's what I've sort of been talking with a lot of clients about. It does present a few positive aspects that we can do of maybe looking at our diet or maybe changing around some of our habits when it comes to our dietary habits, and trying to use maybe food as more of that medicine maybe, look at the positive side of things.
Maybe what are some common things that you're seeing at the moment from people that might be coming up because of those things? Is there some things that you're seeing quite a lot of at the moment?
Yeah, well, probably going back to that again, that lack of structure. So maybe people, being a little bit more irregular with how they're eating, maybe not keeping to their regular eating times that they used to. And sometimes this can, if we kind of just try and wing it, that can kind of lead us down a wrong path. And again, those temptations that I spoke about of maybe eating a little bit more regularly than what we normally would do, and having that sort of stress, that emotional sort of eating.
And on that note of stress and emotional eating, and in this time of change, what are some foods is there foods that make us sort of like more anxious or feed into some of the things that we might be, might be feeling right now? Is there foods that can make us calmer? Is there a link between our food and how we're feeling?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, there's a few foods that I'd probably suggest some people either be a little bit more mindful of. So, foods, what we call sort of ultra processed foods. So foods that have kind of gone through a lot of manipulation, and maybe a lot of the good stuff's been removed. So they might take out a lot of the vitamins and minerals and fiber and all the good sort of things, and maybe replace it with a lot of added sugars, maybe fats, particularly saturated fats and trans fatty acids. And these foods here, again, it kind of links with that maybe that gut health, but also it means that it can throw our blood sugar levels off a little bit. So if we eat these kind of really processed, particularly high sugar, quick release sort of foods, it can cause these kind of up downs of our blood sugar levels, and that can kind of exacerbate how we're feeling. Maybe we get a little bit more anxious, and that can kind of lead on to cravings and a few different sort of things. So be trying to probably minimize or avoid those foods. Otherwise, foods that are going to be sort of stimulants, so particularly caffeine would also sort of fall into that, so coffee, but even soft drinks and energy drinks in particular, again, that can maybe make us feel a little bit more anxious than normal if we've kind of got these stimulants, or if they're impacting our sleep as well. So probably the timing around those are really important as well. Alcohol would also be another one that I'd suggest people be mindful of, or consuming that sort of within safe quantities or regulation. And then how we're eating as well too. So, the skipping the meals, again, that can cause our blood sugar levels to kind of fluctuate a little bit. So try and, stick to a normal routine with that. Also, just that's me poster. Then hydration is probably really important too. So if we become dehydrated, that can cause us to be more hungry. It can also increase cravings. So trying to make sure that we keep hydrated throughout the day too.
That's a really interesting one, because I was just thinking about water yesterday, and I was like, when I'm in an office, I have a water bottle next to me, and I'm constantly having sips and go through quite a lot of water. And then yesterday I got really thirsty, and I was like, I haven't drank anything all day, just because it's not in my structure at the moment.
Again, that routine of maybe at work, we have that sort of water bottle, and it's always that prompt to kind of consistently keep our fluid levels up, and without that, it does sort of change.
So what are some things we can do to put in place to make sure that we do have some better structures around our nutrition, feel a bit better, not have those urges to have those sugary foods or reward ourselves all the time? How should we eat the leftover Easter eggs? All those things.
Yeah, I think having a bit of a plan, I think, is really important. So, plan out your meals, whether that be for the day or know what you're eating maybe tomorrow or even the week, and stick to maybe having those meal times. So set yourself a little bit of a plan around that. I'm maybe only going to have sort of 3 meals a day, and stick to that rather than skipping meals, but also maybe not eating too regularly as well too. So it's kind of identifying when you actually are hungry. So something that's really a good strategy to implement is practicing what we call this mindful eating, of thinking about why you're actually eating. Are you eating because you are actually hungry? So kind of listen to your body, and if we get hunger, so a tummy rumbling or our lack of energy, then that's a time that we should be eating. But if we're not, if we can kind of really sort of think about it and identify that maybe it is boredom, or the fact that the fridge is just there in front of me, or the cupboard, or I'm a little bit stressed, we probably need to identify this isn't the right way around about sort of eating, and maybe satisfy those feelings through something which isn't kind of food related. But also sometimes keeping a bit of food diary can work pretty well, certainly for some people. So writing down kind of what you're eating, again, just helps with this awareness around about sort of why I'm eating, and kind of tailor that along with other aspects of your life too. I sort of encourage a lot of my clients to maybe keep a diary and write down, what they're eating, but then their mood, their energy levels, maybe how they're sleeping, any kind of tummy upsets maybe, and you're able to get this more of appreciation between other aspects of our life and maybe our food intake.
Yeah. I think there's some great tips, and I think definitely some things I could do about managing my diet a little bit better while, when I'm out of my normal routine and I'm, not doing my meal plans like I used to and things like that. When should someone go and see a dietitian?
Look, I think everyone can it would be a great idea for anybody to really get access to the dietitian. Like I said, I work with a lot of people, whether it's just around, general health eating advice, but certainly if you, want to go through things in more detail for a range of different issues, whether it's, just your energy levels, your mood, a lot of different sort of aspects really.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be that I'm really struggling with things, but more that I want some more information around nutrition and dietetics.
Yeah, definitely. Only a very small percentage of our population actually do, achieve the recommended servings of our food groups. So I always encourage a lot of people to, at least touch base with their dietitian. Sometimes it's just confirming that they are on the right sort of track and doing a lot of things right, or could be tweaking a few things as well.
And is there anything that people might be doing if they're wanting to make a change at the moment to, because they're like, oh, I've got a new routine, I want to be eating better, putting in new things. Is there anything that you say, like, definitely avoid, don't do that? That's a phase that, you shouldn't do and you see quite often.
Yeah, look, I think it's, again, at this sort of time, the positives is I encourage a lot of people to think about maybe their home environment or the food that's in their home environment, and maybe reassess that and try and make the healthy choice the easy choice, because even at the best of times, most people find it pretty hard if they do have foods around that they, we know that we probably don't want to be consuming too regularly in the diet, simply not have them around. So it all starts in the supermarket. So it comes down to, again, the planning, but then also having those foods around. And whenever we are feeling hungry and we look at the fridge or the pantry, at least we're prompted to eat those really healthy, nutritious sort of foods. So it's a good way to get the food in. And look, if it's a food that that you don't want to be eating, then simply sort of don't have that around, and that will kind of help to moderate those into the diet.
Yeah, that's a great bit of advice. So we should really get rid of those Easter eggs pretty quickly then.
Yeah, and share them around. And I sort of still been encouraging a lot of people to still consider the social aspects of eating at the moment. So whether it is sharing your food or leftovers or meals, but even sort of meal times, it's still important to try and share, sit at a dining table for our meals, share the meals with our family members that are in the household, but use technology as well too, so we can do video sort of connections with other family members or friends, to still make it a social occasion, or eating outside as well too, out in the fresh air, is still a great idea.
Yeah, that's such a good point, is that, we don't want to lose that positive association with meal times and enjoying it and still being social. So, really great for both the mental health as well as sort of keeping a good nutrition and thinking about those things.
Yeah, definitely. And skill development too. So again, we've got a little bit more time to think about what we're eating. So maybe it's a time to spend a bit more time in the kitchen, and maybe learn a few new recipes, or that could be a good time to spend with maybe kids or other family members, that you can make it a bit of an occasion to prep some meals and do cook meals in bulk, to save that for times when we don't maybe feel like cooking, or we don't have the energy or the mood to, that we've always got maybe a few frozen meals in the fridge or the freezer ready to go.
Yeah, and a time that if you are home with a family or housemates or whatever your situation looks like, is that you can start to do these things together, even if maybe before that wasn't your routine. It's such a nice time to create that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, great.
So Paul, I have one last question for you, is what is sort of a takeaway for people if they are really thinking about their nutrition at this time, or if they are having a lot of worries? What is like a couple of points that people can take away to say, what we can do to sort of improve that mind-body connection while we might be in the four walls of our home.
Sure, and look, I probably touched on most of them already, but like I said, a lot of it comes down to planning and preparations and thinking about your foods, but also keep things simple. Nutrition doesn't have to be complicated, and when we talk about the meals, quite often the simplest, most basic sort of meals are still the most nutritious. So making sure that we're getting any healthy diet has a lot of fruits and vegetables, what we call these core food group foods, and trying to just focus on kind of home cooked sort of meals quite regularly. Some of the particular foods or nutrients that I might suggest for a lot of people is maybe trying to get some really good healthy fats into the diet. So things such as maybe oily fish or nuts and seeds, and avocado and olive oil is fantastic. Also, again, getting a lot of fibre into the diet. So again, the fruits and vegetables or whole grain cereals, these slow release carbohydrate foods, so grainy, high fibre breads and cereals and biscuits will definitely be the foods that I've tried to focus around on. Also, keep hydrated. So make water your main sort of drink. But I guess the main sort of point too is be patient, particularly when we talk about sort of our diet and changes, particularly around our mood. Things take time, so don't expect a lot of changes all at once, but be patient, and things will start to sort of head in the right direction.
Really, really great things to take away, and that we do kind of maybe put a bit of pressure on ourselves right now to try and change things and make everything better, and slow it down, keep it simple, look after yourselves. All those messages coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today. It's been really insightful, and I'm definitely going to take away a couple of things and put a drink bottle on my desk after this. And so everyone, that was Paul Twomey from Darwin Nutrition and Dietetics Clinic. And thanks everyone for joining us, and thank you for improving wellness. See you later.
Thank you.